Louisiana inmate Jesse Hoffman is set to be executed by nitrogen gas this evening, the state's first execution in 15 years.
The execution has faced numerous legal challenges. This morning, a Baton Rouge judge lifted a temporary restraining order that paused the execution. Hoffman's legal team is hoping for a last-minute court ruling. Let's go live now to KTBS 3's Jonathan McCall for more information. Hey, Jonathan.
Courtney, Alex, good afternoon. We are on our way to Angola right now for that execution that will take place in a matter of hours for Jesse Hoffman. Right now, as you mentioned, a number of legal maneuverings in this case as the deadline draws closer for his execution. After that judge in Baton Rouge lifted that temporary restraining order, Hoffman's legal team appealing to the First Circuit Court of Appeals to try to stop that execution. The reason why Hoffman's legal team is looking to delay that execution is because of the use of nitrogen gas that he says is cruel and unusual punishment and is a violation of his religious rights as a Buddhist. Meanwhile, members with the state, Attorney General Liz Merrill says that she is confident, regardless of what does happen in the courts, that this execution will go forward as possible. She says if there are any delays, she does plan to file any type of emergency appeal with the Louisiana Supreme Court to make sure that this does go off. As we mentioned, we've been following this case for a number of weeks now. Jesse Hoffman is set to be executed by nitrogen hypoxia this evening. He would become the first inmate on Louisiana death row in nearly 15 years to be executed, but he will also be the first person to die by nitrogen gas since Louisiana lawmakers approved expanding methods to be used in executions, including nitrogen hypoxia. Hoffman was convicted for the 1996 murder and rape of New Orleans account executive Molly Elliott, and her family. Obviously, they are looking for some justice. It has been nearly 30 years, 1996, some 29 years since this murder was committed. Attorney General Liz Merrill says that she is seeking just closure for the victims' families and all of those involved. Again, that execution set to take place this evening at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. We are headed there right now. We'll continue to bring you updates and monitor any new developments that we get as a result. Again, lots of legal maneuverings, lots of legal filings that are taking place. We are watching this closely and we'll bring you any new changes that we learn in this case. But for now, we are in West Feliciana Parish. I'm Jonathan McCall, KTBS 3 News.
All right, safe travels, Jonathan. We'll check in with you here in just a bit.
Now, in less than 90 minutes, Louisiana is set to carry out its first execution in 15 years and the first to use nitrogen gas. Tonight, we're following the last-minute legal maneuvers in the case of Jesse Hoffman. My co-anchor, Jonathan McCall, joins us live now with the latest. Jonathan.
John, good evening. We are inside of the Louisiana State Penitentiary and here in Angola, Louisiana, where, as you mentioned, in less than 90 minutes, the state of Louisiana will carry out its very first execution in some 15 years using a form of nitrogen gas, something that was approved by Louisiana lawmakers just last year as a form of execution in this case. If that does happen, it will definitely be a big milestone in this state moving forward when it comes to executions. We just heard from the warden here at the Louisiana State Penitentiary a few moments ago about how this will all play out. Here's what he had to say.
In accordance with the execution warrant issued by the 22nd Judicial District Court in St. Tammany Parish, the laws of the state of Louisiana, and the rulings from the state and federal courts, the execution of death row inmate Jesse Hoffman Jr. will be carried out between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. this evening via nitrogen hypoxia.
And Warden Daryl Van Noy did not take any questions from the media after making that statement less than 30 minutes ago. This case has really had a lot of legal maneuvering in the last few days or so. Back on Friday, a federal appeals court removed a temporary injunction halting this execution, which would allow it to move forward. And in just the last few hours, a state judge here in Louisiana removed a temporary restraining order, which also allowed this case to move forward as well. When it comes to the case of Jesse Hoffman, a jury convicted him, sentenced him to death for the 1996 murder of Molly Elliott in New Orleans, and he's been sitting on death row for all of that time, for nearly 30 years after this, after he was convicted in this case. And again, there has been a lot of legal maneuvering in this case as well. Attorney General Liz Merrill said that it was simply time for justice to be served, and has made her own appeals to a number of appeals courts as well as the Louisiana Supreme Court in order to get this execution moving forward, which as of now it does definitely appear to be happening, as you just heard from the warden. Sometime after 6 o'clock tonight, that fatal dose of nitrogen gas will be administered to Jesse Hoffman. Essentially, he will have a mask put on him similar to the ones that we see contractors receiving, and then that nitrogen gas will go to him, essentially suffocating him at that point. Again, lots of developments in this story, and lots of moving parts. We are expected to hear from the Attorney General after this is all said and done, along with the Commissioner of the Department of Corrections as well. So we are going to stay here in Angola, bring you the very latest and any new developments as we get them. But for now, we are live in Angola, Louisiana. Jonathan McCall, KTBS 3 News.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. We'll be back to you in just a little bit. Louisiana inmate Jesse Hoffman is set to be executed by nitrogen gas this evening. He's the state's first execution in 15 years. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Johnette Magner.
And I'm Brenda Teal. The execution has faced numerous last-minute challenges. KTBS 3's Jonathan McCall joins us live with the very latest legal status. Jonathan. All right, we're having some audio problems with Jonathan right now, but he is at the Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola, Louisiana, where at this hour, barring any last-minute challenges, Jesse Hoffman will become the first death row inmate in Louisiana to die by nitrogen gas. Now, according to Warden Daryl Vinoy, the execution will take place between 6 and 9 o'clock this evening. Hoffman was sentenced to death back in 1996 for the murder of Molly Elliott of New Orleans. In recent weeks, Hoffman's legal team has pushed the courts to delay the execution because of the use of nitrogen hypoxia. Hoffman would become the first person to die using the form of execution approved by Louisiana lawmakers last year. Hoffman's legal team claims using the gas is cruel and unusual punishment. Earlier today, a state judge tossed out a temporary restraining order in the case, allowing it to move forward. Now, again, after the execution is completed, we will get a chance to hear from the AG Liz Merrill, DLC Commissioner Gary Westcott, along with media witnesses who watched that execution. We will, of course, bring you the very latest. Jonathan is there live on the scene. We'll have the very latest also for you tonight on KTBS 3 News at 9 and 10 as well. Now, Jesse Hoffman was convicted of killing, again, Molly Elliott 30 years ago. And tonight, Andrew Elliott says he has mixed emotions about his wife's killer being executed. He says, quote, "Anyone who has experienced a tragedy of this magnitude will recognize the absolute truth. Molly's and my family and friends have lost a great human being to a senseless series of crimes, the reason of which we still do not know," he says. The pain is something that they have learned to live with. The pain cannot be decreased by any other death, nor commuting the sentence of Molly's assailant to life in prison. Elliott went on to say they hope for a quick resolution so they can move on.